The Sinaloa Cartel is the biggest, baddest drug gang in the world. But how did they get to the top of the criminal food chain? Let's take a trip through the wild and dangerous world of the Sinaloa Cartel and find out. The Sinaloa Cartel is one of the most powerful and notorious criminal organizations in the world. Founded in the 1980s in the Mexican state of Sinaloa, the cartel rose to prominence through its involvement in the global drug trade, particularly the smuggling of cocaine and marijuana into the United States. But the Sinaloa Cartel's activities don't stop at drug trafficking. They've also been known to engage in other illegal enterprises, such as money laundering and human trafficking. At the head of the Sinaloa Cartel is the infamous Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, who rose from humble beginnings to become one of the world's most wanted men. El Chapo has been credited with turning the Sinaloa Cartel into the behemoth it is today, expanding its operations to countries around the globe and solidifying its position as a major player in the criminal underworld. However, El Chapo's reign was not without its challenges. He faced fierce competition from other powerful drug cartels, such as the Juarez and Tijuana cartels, and was eventually captured and extradited to the United States in 2016. Despite El Chapo's imprisonment, the Sinaloa Cartel has managed to maintain its dominance in the global drug trade, thanks in part to the efforts of El Chapo's right-hand man, Ismael El Mayo Zambada. The rise of the Sinaloa Cartel is a story of power, greed, and violence. It's a tale of how a small group of men were able to build an empire through the illegal drug trade and how their criminal enterprise continues to thrive today. It's a story that offers a glimpse into the shadowy world of organized crime and the ongoing threat it poses to society. The Sinaloa Cartel was founded in the 1980s in the Mexican state of Sinaloa, which has a long history of drug trafficking. The founders of the Sinaloa Cartel, including Joaquin El Chapo Guzman and Ismael El Mayo Zambada, were small-time smugglers and traffickers who saw an opportunity to expand their operations. In the early days of the Sinaloa Cartel, the organization was focused primarily on smuggling marijuana and cocaine into the United States. They used a variety of methods to transport the drugs across the border, including smuggling them in small boats, hiding them in vehicles, and even using underground tunnels. As the Sinaloa Cartel's operations grew, they formed alliances with other criminal organizations, such as the Tijuana Cartel and the Juarez Cartel. These alliances helped the Sinaloa Cartel to expand its reach and increase its power. The Sinaloa Cartel also began to diversify its operations, branching out into other illegal activities such as money laundering and human trafficking. They used their vast network of connections to launder their illicit profits through legitimate businesses, and they used their power and influence to coerce and bribe officials to look the other way. In the late 1980s and early 1990s, the Sinaloa Cartel reached the height of its power. They controlled a significant portion of the drug trade in Mexico and the United States, and their influence extended to other countries as well. The Sinaloa Cartel had become a major player in the global criminal underworld, and their power and wealth seemed almost limitless. As the Sinaloa Cartel grew in power and influence, they began to face more competition from other criminal organizations. The most significant rivalries were with the Juarez and Tijuana cartels, both of which were also major players in the drug trade. The Sinaloa Cartel's rivalry with the Juarez cartel was particularly violent, with both sides engaging in brutal turf wars and bloody clashes. The Sinaloa Cartel was able to emerge as the dominant force, however, thanks in part to its superior organization and resources. In addition to their rivalry with other drug cartels, the Sinaloa Cartel also faced challenges from law enforcement. As their operations grew, so did the efforts to bring them down. The Sinaloa Cartel was targeted by Mexican authorities and the United States Drug Enforcement Administration, DEA, and several of its key members were arrested and extradited to the United States. Despite these setbacks, the Sinaloa Cartel continued to expand its operations and diversify its portfolio. They began to smuggle other drugs, such as methamphetamine and fentanyl, into the United States, and they continued to expand their operations into other countries. The Sinaloa Cartel was a global criminal enterprise, with tentacles reaching into every corner of the globe. As the Sinaloa Cartel's power and influence grew, so did the concerns of authorities and the general public. The Sinaloa Cartel was responsible for much of the violence and corruption in Mexico and beyond, and their activities had a devastating impact on communities around the world. The Sinaloa Cartel's reign of terror came to a temporary halt in 2016 when their leader, Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, was captured and extradited to the United States. El Chapo's capture was a major victory for law enforcement, as he had been one of the world's most wanted men for years. El Chapo's arrest and extradition marked a turning point for the Sinaloa Cartel. Without their leader at the helm, the organization was forced to regroup and reorganize. Despite this disruption, the Sinaloa Cartel was able to maintain its position as one of the most powerful and influential criminal organizations in the world. El Chapo's trial and subsequent imprisonment was a major blow to the Sinaloa Cartel, but it was not a death blow. The organization had become so entrenched and well-established that it was able to continue operating even without its leader. El Chapo's right-hand man, Ismael El Mayo Zambada, assumed control of the Sinaloa Cartel in El Chapo's absence, and the organization continued to thrive under his leadership. The Sinaloa Cartel remained a major player in the global drug trade, and its influence extended to other illegal activities as well. Despite the efforts of authorities to bring down the Sinaloa Cartel, the organization remains a formidable force. It continues to operate in countries around the globe, and its tentacles reach into every level of society. The Sinaloa Cartel is a testament to the enduring power of organized crime, and a reminder of the ongoing threat it poses to communities around the world. The rise of the Sinaloa Cartel is a cautionary tale of the dangers of organized crime and the destructive power of the illegal drug trade. From its humble beginnings as a small-time smuggling operation, the Sinaloa Cartel grew to become one of the most powerful and influential criminal organizations in the world. The Sinaloa Cartel's ascent was fueled by the insatiable demand for drugs, and their operations were characterized by greed, violence, and corruption. The Sinaloa Cartel left a trail of destruction in its wake, with communities around the globe feeling the impact of its activities. The capture and imprisonment of El Chapo marked a temporary setback for the Sinaloa Cartel, but the organization has proven to be resilient and has continued to thrive even in his absence. The Sinaloa Cartel remains a major player in the global drug trade, and its influence extends to other illegal activities as well. The Sinaloa Cartel's rise to power serves as a reminder of the ongoing threat of organized crime and the need for continued efforts to combat it. It's a warning about the dangers of the illegal drug trade and the toll it takes on communities around the world. The Sinaloa Cartel is a shadowy and dangerous organization, and their rise to power is a cautionary tale about the dangers of the illegal drug trade. Their story is a reminder of the ongoing threat of organized crime and the need for continued efforts to combat it. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the wild and dangerous world of the Sinaloa Cartel.